Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media account. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now we got a lot to look at this week. Looking at the put to call ratio, it's really not that bad. It's at 0.59. It's fairly low, but it can definitely go lower. People are loading up for puts for the market to probably dump. We get some economic news coming up. Let's see, Monday we got PMI at 10 a.m. I don't see any speakers. Tuesday we have the JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. That's all I see for Tuesday. Wednesday, non-farm employment change, and we have PMI again. Services PMI. See, the PMI on Monday are manufacturing, I think. Yeah, manufacturing, and the PMI on Wednesday or Tuesday. Wednesday we have services, so which is at 9:45 and 10 a.m. On Thursday we have nothing really much. We get unemployment claims Thursday morning. No, Friday we have the market's closed Friday. Let me just double check. I believe it's Good Friday for Easter. Yeah, it is. So we only got 4 trading days this week. Friday is closed for Good Friday. Why is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, just wanted to make sure we didn't have a half a day on Thursday. Yeah, so four day week. Now, when we have 4 days, a short week, we end up seeing a lot of manipulation. So it could be a kind of a crazy week. So we'll have to see what happens. Just take it day by day. Now I got VIX up. VIX is right down at the 1870. It's right at the RCT trend line on the daily, which is usually where it likes to bounce. But I mean, it did flush underneath it right here. But usually it likes to bounce at 18. Now VIX, it acts like a coiled spring. The more it's compressed down, the more it wants to pop. So the lower it goes, the more pressure it is for it to want to have a violent bounce. Now, it does not have to bounce at 18. It can go down to 16 or even down to the 15 area. So we have seen it at 15 levels back in 2020, but we haven't been below 18 since this area right here, which was beginning of the year 123. So middle of January. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if it does actually break this. We can go down to 15. Now I know we can go lower than 15 back when Obama was in office back many years ago. That VIX would go all the way down to 11, 10. There's even been times where it's gone underneath 10. And basically at that point in time when I was trading, whenever VIX got underneath 10, I just loaded the boat up on puts and SPY puts and VIX calls and stuff, because it rarely ever gets underneath 10, and that's basically just unheard of. But I mean, I don't know if I can go out far enough to show you, just for science. I think 15 years. Yeah, you can see right down here, 856. I mean, it was underneath $10. $10 was the floor. Back over here, it was 11. Then it went underneath 11, and then it started being like 9, 10 and 9. So this is what I'm talking about. Anytime it finds a floor and it uses that floor for temporary, and then it ends up going a little lower. So I mean, right back here, the floor was 15, then it went down to 12, and basically it was 12 for a little while. Then it went underneath the 10, and then we went back up to 11, 12 area. Then we had the COVID and all the trade stuff and stuff like that, and Ukraine, and then the floor has pretty much been anywhere from 18 to 15. So this is how VIX works. I mean, anytime it gets pressured down, that's when we end up having more violent pops. So this is the coiled spring effect on VIX. So definitely got to keep an eye on that. And it can definitely go lower. Oops, weekly. It can definitely go lower than 18. So basically 15 would probably end up being the floor for now. So on that, so we could end up seeing more upside with SPY, but I don't know. I mean, SPY is just it's getting pretty out of control now. The thing I keep looking at is that with SPY, I always say in the room that when you see a pattern that's too defined, everyone is talking about it. Like right now, everyone is talking about this inverted head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head, and you get the right shoulder. Everyone's talking about it. And these market makers know the playbook. They know what you're going to do. They know the flow. They see the pattern, and what they end up doing is they end up having huge traps. Like right here, like it broke out a little bit, just enough to get everybody in, then it pulled back. I'm thinking we're going to do the same thing as right here. We're going to get up to, if we end up pushing more, we get up to this 410 area, 413 area, 415 area, that we could get a little bit of a small push to like 420 just to break the pattern, make it look like we're going to have a monster run. And that's when they're going to slap it. That's when they're going to get everyone on one side, and they're going to end up pushing it back before making an actual run. They're not going to make the run on the first shot, because if they do on the first shot, then basically everyone's going to be in it, and they don't want everybody to be in the trade. They want people to be wrong. They want to take your money. That's the whole name of the game with these scumbag market makers, is they want to trick and trap and take your money. So I think that if we do get a run up to the 415 area, we're going to get a slight pop just to get everybody excited, and they're going to slap it down, take everyone out, then they're going to push it. It does get room. The RCT trend line is up here at the 430, on top of the Keltner channels up here at the we'll round up to say 430. So around the 430 to 435 area, you get a lot of area to fill right there, but I don't think it's going to happen on the first shot. I'm actually leaning more towards the bearish side, because I think that what they're going to do is if we get a push up to the 413, 415 area, I think that's where we're gonna reject a little bit before we actually end up making that move. But plus the hourly, I mean, look at the hourly. The hourly is at 80, up to 80 on the hourly. So we got some gaps to fill right here, down to 404 and below 398. So I think that we're gonna pull back and fill these gaps before we end up making a bigger run. But I mean, I could be wrong. We could end up pushing more up to the 415 before we actually pull back. So the market makers are going to play games around these levels. You got to anticipate that. Like I said, short weeks, that's when you see the most manipulation, because most people are gone for the week. Most people aren't paying attention, and that's when the market likes to play these games, and they will. So basically, I would be looking for a pullback underneath 407 to fill the gap down to 404. Get a little bit of a gap right here at 402. Then you get a bigger gap to fill underneath this 398 level, and down to 395. I think the RSI needs to cool off some. Even if we only pull back to the 402 area, then push more. We could definitely push more. So definitely SPY, be in the room. We'll take it day by day, what happens overnight. And lately, the overnight action has been more of a move than the actual day. So it's kind of annoying. But next one, BABA. Now BABA, on the other hand, it's got this big gap. I've been watching this ever since I had a big gap up here, and now that it's hit the RCT trend line on the daily, it rejected and rejected again. It had a red day on Friday, so I would watch it underneath this low right here of 101 for push it down to 90, 98. Then gap support's going to be down here at 92.50. I doubt it's going to fill the gap the first shot. That's a pretty big drop. It will likely try to bounce, even at 90, the 95 area. So because we get this trend line right here in the RCT trend line, so we could definitely end up bouncing right in that area. too. So I'm expecting to see Baba pull back right here. That's what I'd be watching on that. Now Apple is right at the top of the Kellner channel on the weekly. The ICT trend line is right there too. Hourly candles are outside the Kellner channel on the hourly, and it's outside the Kellner channel on the daily. Anytime you see candles outside right here, outside the pullback, outside the pullback, outside the pullback, it doesn't like to be outside the Kellner channel for long. I think the Apple will pull back. That will end up playing into the market pulling back this week. We'll have to see if that actually happens. We got earnings coming up in the next few weeks, so we could end up seeing some ER hope. Who knows if they will actually be good or not, but the market doesn't care about what's good or bad. All it cares about is hope, and the market loves hope. I mean, look at the hourly on Apple. It's up in the 80s too. I mean, everything's favoring kind of a pullback, but like I said, RSI is tricky. It can be like right here, it was in the 70s, and it just pulled back just a little bit just to cool it off. Then it made a bigger run. So that's RSI is tricky like that. It's very misleading. You can chop. It can chop in this 163 to 165 area for a couple days, and the RSI will cool down, and it can go higher. It's just RSI is very tricky. But being outside the Kellner channel on the daily, and at the top on the weekly, I think that would favor more of a pullback on Apple with that one. Amazon. Now Amazon is starting to look pretty good on the weekly. I mean, you get this nice little cup and handle. You get the cup and you get the handle right here. It gets over this one, I would say the higher day of 10. We could just say 104. It gets over 104. We could see a run to we get that 105, 110, 115. 120 every $5 basically, but the RSI is pretty high on the hourly. That's the only thing that's concerning. But if the market's strong, Amazon's definitely one that can make a strong move, especially off the weekly. It's got room. But if the market pulls back, Amazon's probably going to pull back with it, because it usually follows the market. Amazon does. So definitely Amazon is primed to make a big run with earnings coming up. It could end up doing something. Now, whenever there's earnings run up, I always look at Netflix, and I don't have Netflix on my watch list, primarily because it's at the top of the Kellner channel on the daily, and it's at RCT trend line. So I don't really like seeing that, but we'll have to see if it ends up doing something. Normally I watch Netflix on an ER run up, but I don't like the scenario right here, so I'm just basically ignoring it. You don't have to ignore it. You can watch it. I'm gonna ignore it. No. BA, I'm kind of conflicted about this. I mean, it's still in the channel. It's still stuck in this 215 to 200 channel. It drops, comes back up. It drops, comes back up. It's just doesn't know where it wants to go. So, I mean, I'm kind of like leaning towards it might pop a little more. RCT trend line's at 226. So, I mean, we could pop over this 215 area. If it does get over 215, we could probably end up pushing to 220, 225. Whenever we see this kind of a consolidation, we usually end up seeing a strong move. We could see 220, 240, even 250 out of BA if it does manage to have a strong move. But it's been consolidating here for almost the entire year. BA is definitely ready to make a big run. We'll have to see if it actually does. I'm always kind of skeptical of BA, because BA is just, anytime it was like acting like Roku for the longest time, where anytime it started to get momentum, it just got crapped on, either by news or just short sellers and stuff like that. So it is what it is. Now NVIDIA, it just keeps going. RSI was over 80 right here. Pulled back just a little bit, chopped, cooled it down, pulled up more. RSI is over, chopped, and cooled down, and made a higher, but it's making a bearish divergence, is making higher highs, and RSI is making lower highs. So it does have a bearish divergence going on in NVIDIA. I've been watching this for a while. Daily, it's outside the Kellner channel on the daily. The whole body candle again outside the weekly here and right here. So 2 weeks in a row It was outside the Keltner channel right here, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And this is what I was talking about before. Whenever they're outside the Keltner channel on the weekly, it does pull back. It's just a matter of when. So it does not like being outside the Keltner channel. It doesn't usually stay very long. So it could be weeks before we end up seeing it come back in. We'll just have to see what happens. Tesla. Now Tesla, on the other hand, actually looks like it could end up making a strong move. The weekly looks pretty good. Cup and handle, or you can even say inverted head and shoulders, like left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, or the cup, and this is the handle. It gets over this we'll say 209 area. Next area is 210, 215, then you get 220. I mean, we could end up seeing a strong move out of Tesla if it gets over this 210 area. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. But like I said, RSI on the hourly is oversold. I mean, overbought. So it could end up pulling back some before it makes the move. But Tesla is shaping up where it could actually make a pretty big run here. So we'll have to see if that ends up happening. Now, Meta. It's the last one. Meta, same thing. It's outside the Keltner channel on the weekly, 2 times in a row, like NVIDIA. RSI is 75. I mean, so many stocks are overbought, and so much is overbought right now. The lot is due to pull back, but we'll have to see if it actually will. I mean, all it takes is more hopium from the market, or more ER hopium, or rate stopping, inflation going down, anything the market needs to keep going. But at some point, the RSIs do need to cool off. So I think that Meta is another one perfect to keep an eye on underneath like 20, we won't even say 203, underneath 209 or even 207 for a push down here to fill the gap at the 201. Got support here at 200 because it's a big round number, and it likes to get bought underneath 200. So if it breaks 200, it's got some ways to go with a gap down here to fill at 185. So I could fill that gap to 185 down to 180. Then we get this 170 area. So Meta due to pull back, but will it pull back? Who knows? We'll have to see. But even though it's a short week, could be a very busy week in the market. We'll have to see what happens. We'll take it day by day. That's why you need to be in the room, because anything can change overnight or in a single headline. So that's why you need to be in the room. And that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.